Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Empowering Minds. Today, as you can tell, we're talking all about kicking off summer the right way, staying healthy, staying nourished, having some, making sure you're staying hydrated. So today we're giving you some tips on how to really start off the summer and kick it off with health and wellness, whether you're traveling, going to the beach, going to the pool, just making sure that you have all your accessories like our hats and our sunglasses and all those cool things. So Laura, Jenny, first of all, you've been traveling like all summer. You've kicked off the summer way before all of us have.
I have.
So tell us, how have you been traveling in style and staying healthy and making sure that you are just having a great time?
Okay, well, I'm definitely having a lot of fun traveling because obviously with the quarantine the past year, we didn't do any traveling for about a year. And now all of a sudden, now that things are starting to open back up, I feel like we're getting invited to all these weddings and these, events like reunions with family. So of course, I've been taking advantage of that and traveling almost every month since about March. And when I first flew in March, I was a little bit anxious about it. But then when I got on that plane and saw that, that everyone's wearing their mask, they're handing out the hand sanitizer, the wipies, you could wipe down your seat and everything. I felt really comfortable after that, and more confident to travel. So that's what's been going on with me. I'm actually traveling again in 2 weeks to go to New York. So I'm excited about that.
Gonna come to New York. Nice. Well, that's great. I'm glad you were taking the time for a little R&R and traveling. So, and I'm actually in Florida right now. So I travel too. And I had a little heightened anxiety about getting on the plane. But like you said, everything was okay. Once you make sure you pack your, the proper things, like the sanitizers, obviously packing your snacks, making sure that you stay hydrated. A couple things that I did before I jumped out, my flight was just make sure I got a good night's rest. So that sort of helped to ease the anxiety that I was, had a good night's rest and I was ready for the trip the next day. I made sure that I drank a lot of water, before the trip and during and all that stuff. So that was just a couple things that I did. And I'm going to take off my hat now because I feel like that's enough with the hat, right?
I'm glad you mentioned that about a little bit about how you prepared for it, because what I did was I would pour, the emergency packets into my water and I started pumping myself up with that stuff. A few days before I traveled, I even brought it with me during, some of my first trips, just so that I can, keep my body, healthy,
hydrated and ready.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. And that's an important tip too, is making sure you take your vitamins and making sure that you stay hydrated and that your immune system is well boosted. So all the vitamin C's, all the omegas, all those things, even I have my water with the electrolytes in it, things like that. So Laura, it seems like you're ready to go because you have your sunglasses on. So I think, are you ready to take a trip? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, I same with me. I was actually really nervous to have my first flight post-pandemic. Same with all of you. But I went. I actually ended up going to New York and coming back in one day. It was an entire 24-hour trip. Yes.
Wow.
And that was pretty anxiety, definitely anxiety driven, and I was really nervous about breathing and all that, But then when I saw everyone else and everyone else was making sure wiping stuff down. I took my Clorox wipes. I did not play. I took it. I wiped everything down.
Right. Exactly.
And I saw, how it was. And I'm like, okay, so it's not that bad. And now I'm like, I'm ready to go back again. So
good. So you're ready to get back out there. So you just needed to ease into the travel, right? Yeah, I feel like that too.
You got to have your sunglasses for sun safety for sure.
Yes. Talking about something.
Right. I think it's so important, especially if you have heat rash, it's so common. I being that I have eczema, I have to make sure that my skin is well taken care of when I'm in the sun. So I can't be in direct sunlight for an extended amount of time.
Right.
Definitely living in Florida, that's really tough.
Yes, and it's hot because
the sun is strong here too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was just in Texas before this, and it was really, really hot over there, and the heat was bad. And one of the things we made sure we do is apply sunscreen every single day, even if we weren't going outdoors. We made sure we applied, and you have to get the one too, just so you guys know. with the UVA and UVB protection with the broad spectrum, because that actually protects against all the rays. Because there's actually a difference between the UVA and UVB, which I learned all this recently. Just after doing some research, I wanted to make sure that I was protecting my family and myself. And the UVA rays both can penetrate into your cells and cause real damage and even skin cancer, things like that. UVB rays, the same thing. So you want to make sure it says broad spectrum protection sunscreen. So when you go to the store, just make sure that that's what you're looking for. I always tell people that it's better. And the girls were asking me, like, Mommy, why do we have to wear a hat? We just went to the beach. But like you said, you want to make sure that you're protecting your skin and you're just wearing like protective clothing. So like hats, sunglasses, you know, even clothing that's going to cover you up and make sure that you're not getting the sunburn, right?
Right. There is clothing now. I think Hurley makes like sunproof clothing, you know, which is great, you know, like that protects against like not sunproof, but like UV ray lighting, like 50 proof.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's amazing, right? Yeah. It's amazing how they're just creating all these things to make sure you're staying safe in the sun. And then hydration was so important. We just came back from the beach. I took like 10 bottles of water. I took this, which has the electrolytes in it. I was like, girls, just keep drinking lots of water, coming in and out of the beach water. I'm like, just stay hydrated, right?
True. You don't realize how hydrated you get. It's so true.
Yeah. What are you going to say, Jen?
Yeah. So just going back real quickly to the sunscreen. So I feel like I only use sunscreen when I know I'm going to go to the pool or the beach, things like that. Right. So I don't even think about the times when like, oh, I'm just going to go for like a 1 mile walk around my neighborhood. I don't wear a hat. I don't wear sunscreen. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is probably why my skin, I feel like I still have sunburn from my Miami trip in March. You know, and then I was in Cali and I was out in the sun too, and I wasn't wearing hats. And like, so I feel like my skin is just still like up here, especially still peeling, you know, I've been like crazy. So now that I know like broad spectrum, you know.
Yes, that's important. Yeah, it's so funny that you said that, because I even learned the other day, even if you're in your house and the windows are open, the UV rays are coming through the windows and your computer screen, and people who are working from home are on their computers all day. So it's important to put on sunscreen all day. So what I do, I have a lot of cleansing products that I use, my skincare products, has a moisturizer that has a SPF sunscreen built into the moisturizer. So that's a really good option for people if you want to make sure that you're staying, that you have sunscreen on all day long, is a moisturizer. That'll help.
And of course, after sun care, right? Like using aloe vera gel,
right?
Just making sure that your skin is moisturized, you know, after you're in the water. And just wanted to touch on water safety too. Yes. I think, you know, it happens, you know, where we just assume, you know, the kids are okay, but always please make sure there's an adult, you know, swimming with the children. Always make sure, you know, that everybody is safe in the water. And also we assume like, oh, you know, oh, he's watching them, or oh, she has them, you know, we assume like each other. Never assume.
Never turn your back, especially if you have kids with you. And you're totally right, Laura. That's one of the most important things.
So safe. Yeah, because you always think,
go ahead.
No, you always think like, oh, you know, they're watching them, so it's okay. But then both of you are thinking the same thing, and it's like, okay, well, who's really watching them? And then, you know, so it happens like that. Like you said.
It does, which is important. Why you should always probably swim where there's lifeguards and there's people around. You know, swimming where there's no lifeguards is definitely not a good idea.
Yeah,
you know, like my kids were doing swimming lessons, unfortunately stopped, but if your family and your kids know how to swim, it's even better for them.
Absolutely.
So they know how to protect themselves when they're in the water also.
Right.
So
and pay attention to those signs, you know, like when the lifeguard, when they put up the flags and they're like, okay, well, the tide's too rough, or don't go any further past a certain point. You really should adhere to them, because they're there for a reason, you know?
Oh, for sure. I don't even go, when I do go to the beach and I go into the water, I'm like knee deep. Like you will not see me further than that, because I don't know what's swimming in there either. So I'm just like, I'm gonna stay here where it's a little bit safer. I always like err on, you know, that side.
No, absolutely. So if you guys hear some noise in the background, I'm in Florida and nobody cares that I'm doing a webinar right now. So everybody's just walking in and out and talking. So if you guys are hearing the noise in the background, this is what being with family is right now. So So just to give you a little
and
preface.
I was gonna say your background looks like it's one of those like green screen.
Oh, nice! This is what I need in New York,
and it looks beautiful. So you are definitely relaxing. Yeah.
Yes, and that brings me to a good point where, you know, when you're around family and friends and you're really in a place that's relaxing, it can encourage healing. It can encourage a growth of like nourishing your mind and body. And then Jenny, you and I spoke a lot about this, that getting that R&R and really trying to find that peace and serenity for yourself is so important. So summertime is the best time to do that, because you can travel, you can be outdoors, you can do the things you love in the sun while staying safe in the sun, of course. But there's just so many options when the summer comes around, right?
Definitely. And I feel like everyone deserves to take a vacation, to take a few days off, to get that R&R. It's been a really hard, year for everyone. So if you think that you don't deserve it, please, this is your permission to be take that trip, take that time off, please, for yourself.
Right, exactly. No, you definitely got to take that R&R and take the time away. And Laura's ready to go back out and about too. What's your next trip, Laura?
Back to New York, actually.
Oh, nice. Back to New York. Everybody's coming to New York to visit.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that coming up for my wedding. And I think it's exciting because everybody is looking forward to reuniting with their loved ones.
Yeah, especially after being in the midst of the pandemic. You're so right.
And it makes the time so much more meaningful, so much more endearing. You realize how precious really family and the bonds are, when you hold them, for after a year of not seeing them, or for some even longer, right? And then you're like, oh my God, I really missed you. And then after a while you're like, all right, I'm over it.
Yeah, which is what I think that's the point I'm at right now. I've been trying to find quiet places in this house. I go outside, I go in the living room. It's not working.
Yeah, no.
So, but it's so, yeah. One thing I also want to mention when you're traveling, because this is something, a lot of people have to make sure, is that if you have medications, make sure you call the pharmacist or doctors ahead of time to get enough prescription medications for your travel. Because I know some insurance companies don't cover the extra amount. So you just have to make sure you call in advance. This just came into my head about, making sure you have proper medications and things like that. And packing essentials. I know packing is a whole different topic, but definitely making sure you have the proper medications and things like that.
You can see if you can get the medications from a local pharmacy, wherever it is that you're saying, then you can just pick up the prescription there. If you're going to be traveling, and then you know what, this is where I'm going to be. This is probably near where we're going to be. So I could so that way it's just more convenient. In case. It's always good to have extra just in case. You just never know.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then for things to do on the plane to kind of ease in the anxiety. I can't read on the plane because I get motion sickness, but I was able to write. So I had my computer, so I was able to do some stuff on my computer, just writing, because we talked about journaling earlier, Laura. I think you were saying about journaling, which I think is a good activity for the plane, if that sort of helps to ease into the travels. If you're traveling for the first time after the pandemic, that might be a good option too.
True. I actually started writing a speech for my best friend's wedding. So I started writing that. And so that was very good for the distraction.
Right.
For sure. Definitely. And I was going to say that when my last trip, when I was boarding the plane and in the airport, and then I was on the plane before I had to turn my phone on airplane mode, I was listening to your podcast, Jen. So I was in the Simply Real podcast, overcoming fear and anxiety and more. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's actually a good tip, because I didn't think about the fact that you have to download things before you get on the plane because you don't get the Wi-Fi. So I was a little stuck in being able to listen or watch anything because I totally forgot to download it. The kids had stuff downloaded. So that's actually a good tip, is if you want to listen to something on the plane, definitely download stuff beforehand.
Laura, I'll be listening to yours at my next trip in a couple weeks.
Oh, you will?
Your podcast. Yeah.
So only Jenny, we're waiting for Jenny to start her own podcast too.
When I can just show up to yours.
Well, that's true. We all work together and collaborate, which is what this is all about, is collaborating to keep everybody healthy and happy with some great tips. We hope this is valuable. You guys have any other tips that we didn't touch on? I mean, travel safety, water safety, sun safety, just going outdoors and enjoying summer to the fullest. And absorbing everything and embracing everything that summer has to offer with your family and friends, and you know, just.
I think that you all definitely gave great advice. I think it's important to plan ahead when you're traveling. You have to know like what the regulations and rules are if you're flying internationally, if you have to have a COVID test done before, or you know, things like that. So definitely plan ahead. Do your research.
Or travel safe, right?
Yeah. Because and you do have to wear the mask on the plane. Just FYI. So for anybody's wondering, you do have to keep it on during that time, which I know can probably cause a little heightened anxiety as well. I know it did for me, but it wasn't that bad. So, and one of the things I did, I paid extra for the front seats. So that actually helped. That was that. So my tip for anybody who's willing to pay the extra and wants to be a little more comfy, get some more leg room and feel less anxious, the front seats are a way to go. Absolutely. And other than that, I mean, just enjoy summer, embrace everything it has to offer, and enjoy your family and friends, and wherever you're traveling to, be safe. Make sure that you have your sunscreen, protective gear, you're staying hydrated. Oh, and we forgot the most important thing is about eating healthy. So even people, you know, think that during the summer, it's just, you have to remember nutrition is all part of staying healthy for your mind and body. So lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, especially when it's hot. You want to make sure you're getting in the vitamin C's, like you were saying before, Laura, by boosting your immune system. So vitamin C, so any fruits and veggies with the antioxidant properties are really good for you. And just making sure that you're staying hydrated. So any food that has water content, like all those like watermelon and things like that. Yeah, exactly.
By the pool or the beach. Yeah, that's when fruit tastes the best.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not so hard. You're going to want those fresh fruits and veggies when it's hot anyways. So making sure that you get some fresh fruits and veggies in. And I hear the rain coming now. I'm in Florida. So you got to be ready for the rain too. So you know what I've been saying, I'm telling everybody here, the rain is actually very relaxing. Because you can sit down, listen to the raindrops, and it's so relaxing.
Sure. It is. Yeah, I could always smell it. Like, it always smell like it's gonna rain. You can smell it, and like it's gonna rain.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the calmness of it. It's pretty.
Yes.
We're having a lot of it every day.
Right, and that's all part of summer. Yeah, we have been. Since I feel like I brought the rain here.
You did.
This is Florida. It'll rain for a little bit and then stop. You know.
Yeah. Oh, the best thing about the rains is the rainbows. Yeah, which is why everybody should pick out my book, Why the Rain Isn't So Bad, because it really isn't.
I love it.
Right.
I see a rainbow the other morning when I was having my morning walk, and it was great to see it. Like, I just looked up and it was just there, and it was like, hello.
Those are the best.
Hello, good morning to you, rainbow. Like, it was great.
Those are the best. They really are. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Well, any lasting thoughts, ladies, before we wrap it up? Because I feel like people are going to keep coming in and out. And
have fun.
Yes.
Have fun. Yeah.
Enjoy your summer.
Yeah.
Enjoy the little moments.
Yes, I love that, Jenny. Enjoy the little moments. Make memories. Keep creating great memories with your friends and families. And just don't forget to enjoy it all and stay safe while you're doing it, right?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us in the Empowering Minds webinar series. We hope to see you next time. Tune into the Simply Real podcast, because we will have this webinar available as a podcast as well. Check out Laura's new podcast. Laura, what's the name of your podcast?
Cognitive Perspective.
Cognitive Perspective. It's awesome. It's a great podcast. It definitely is a different perspective. So definitely check her out. Jenny has so much going on too. Jenny, what do we need to tune in for you? Because I feel like you are so much going on. The entrepreneur, the boss lady.
Yes. Let me get a little more organized and I'll let you know what I need from you too.
Yes. That's good. So in the meantime, ladies, enjoy your travels. Be safe, everybody. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.